Welcome in, everybody, to Fantasy Pros MLB. It's time to talk trade with me, Joey P, and the Welsh. Let's start with a big name in fantasy who's had a rough 2-week span. It's Fernando Tatis Jr., a guy who's had a great season so far. So eventually, Welsh, it was going to come back down to earth a little bit. He was going to hit a cold spell. 13 homers, 13 steals on the year. We love all of that. What we don't love is the last 2 weeks of Fernando Tatis. Over his last 12 games, the slash is 196, 315, 283 with a 598 OPS. That's not good at all. He's only got one homer over that span and one RBI as well. So if you're looking to buy a superstar, maybe on the cheap, this is the time to do it with Fernando Tatis, Welsh.
Well, we can extend this past just the 2 weeks because he left May hitting 184, or he hit 184 in the entire month of May, and he's carried that over to June. This to me is similar to the Corbin Carroll thing. You know, we talked about Corbin Carroll on one of these, in that these guys aren't cheap by any means, but they're going through this big struggle. It's an interesting time that, you know, maybe it changes from these guys are not available to they become available. And then the next tier is they can become available at a little bit more of a discount. And Tatis might be somewhere between, like, because he's a superstar, might be somewhere in that realm of like someone's listening now and maybe they're willing to consolidate because it was a horrible May. It's a horrible June. Categorically, the stats have kind of dipped. He's hitting 260 right now. 13-13 on the homers and stolen bases is still nice. He just might be more acquirable. And I'm down for it, you know, because he is his lowest K percentage of his career, one of the highest walk percentages of his career. He's hitting the ball really hard, over 50%. There's a few things underlying that are just kind of floating out there that maybe like aren't the best. Barrel is down a tiny bit, but he's still hitting fastballs. He's still hitting some secondary stuff. And I think there's still a lot more in the tank. He's got a weird home road split going on right now, hitting really well at home, struggling on the road. It's not a hitter-friendly environment for San Diego. So I kind of like everything about buying him on the low right now. So I'm totally co-signing this.
Another power speed guy who could be on the trade market right now, you might want to look to buy. Over the last 30 days, Wyatt Langford does have 5 homers and 7 steals. That's pretty good, except for the slash during that 30-day period. 181 batting average, a 262 OBP, and a 336 slugging. Yikes. Things have not gone well over the last month or so for Wyatt Langford. But, as Welsh likes to say, the counting stats are loud. So power and speed still good. The rest of it, you hope, will start to turn around. Welsh, what do you think about buying Wyatt Langford? Because I want to right now.
Yeah, I think this is like just like the Tatis one. You know, he had a horrifically bad entire month of May where he hit sub 200, hit 189. He's kind of doing the same thing here in June, but I'm all for the buy. He's struggling against lefties right now, but you know, last year he hit like 25 points higher as a right-handed hitter. I think he's going to continue to do that. He's actually barreling the ball better. He's hitting the ball harder. He's walking more this year, and average exit velocity is 2 miles per hour up. So a lot of that underlying stuff, that's telling us a really good story. He's also underperforming against fastballs and breaking pitches. So there's an expected batting average that looks to be better. So we've had these Rangers have just been really, really slow. But yeah, like you said, the counting stats, the term would like to use, like he looks like he can still be a 25-25 guy. And if the worst is out, you can have had somebody else take on the bad months when the best is yet to come, because the hitting profile still looks really good. So another really good, like bigger name that would be probably easier to acquire because of these really bad struggles. And if you got somebody that's really hitting the panic button, absolutely look to pick up the pieces.
Yeah, if Langford could just find a little bit more consistency next season, you could see the real breakout. I don't think it's going to be this year, maybe still a work in progress, but certainly power speed still there. That's enough for me to want to buy. Let's switch gears, talk about a couple pitchers. And we talked about this guy about a month ago, and I still want to buy him still. Dylan Cease. Strikeout rate is going up again. It's over 11 K per 9. The walk rate starting to go down over the last month too. It was well in the mid 3s. Now it's 3.15 walks per 9. You look at the ERA, it's still 4.72. The Padres are a little bit of a strange case right now, trying to kind of find themselves again. They've had some injuries too. But you look at the expected ERA is 3.67. The FIP is 3.20. The xFIP is 3.22. Welsh, Dylan Cease is pitching much better than the ERA, and just on principle, I think you got to be aggressive on Cease. What do you think?
Yeah, and you know, he talked about it a couple weeks ago where he's just waiting for things to like click. Like he's very confident He knows that things are going to get right, and he's just waiting to go on that streak right now. He is throwing his slider more than he threw it last year. His fastball, he's throwing less, but it's making that his slider's like a 43% whiff pitch. And the fastball is getting hit a tiny bit more, but I kind of agree. He's talking about like grips and just confidence and those pitches starting to like locate. I think he was even talking about potentially changing how he was throwing a certain grip. Like, I think he's a massively confident pitcher with big strikeout numbers who unfortunately has some streaks. He goes through some streakiness as far as bad months. I mean, last year he had a 4 ERA in May and June, but he had 2 and in August, but then goes September, July, and April, they were 2s. So it's kind of hot and cold where you're going to get him, but you always know you're going to get really big strikeouts. So we've had a cold month. I'm willing to buy on Dylan Cease right now for sure.
I want to buy on Mason Miller of the Athletics too. You know, when the A's or Athletics, really? I should say, well, when you're sitting at, 16 games under 500, it's not as many save opportunities. The starting pitching has been atrocious. So the bridge to him hasn't been good. But if you look a little deeper too, his expected ERA is at 3.07, even though his ERA is at 4.63. He's had some bad luck in there too. He's still an elite strikeout guy. 40 strikeouts over 23 innings this year. With so many problems in so many of these bullpens, we just saw another injury to the Diamondbacks closer situation yesterday. We saw earlier this week Raisel Iglesias get taken out of the closer role. Getting harder and harder to find saves. Palencia gave up some runs the other day.
Right, Helsley blew 3 straight saves. Yeah.
Like, I'm kind of looking around saying, you know what? Maybe I'm going to buy low on Mason Miller right now just because the A's have been so bad, lost so many games, that maybe we get a nice second half out of him and maybe that ERA comes down to the expected area. What do you think?
Yeah, I think the general idea is good. The only thing I'll push back against that's tough about this is he's an elite closer, regardless of the stats. So you have an elite closer in a market that is super, super volatile. Then take on like, all right, what can where can we improve? You said the gap and the save opportunities. Summer months are coming up. It's a little baby ballpark that they're pitching in. Is it going to get better? Is it going to get a lot better? And I think the biggest caveat to all of this is you're going to have to pay a premium price. You have to pay a premium price for a closer that has a higher ERA. Expected still is like, okay, on a middling team in a minor league ballpark. I think it makes it tough. But to your greater point, though, the closing, like if you can trade for and get any type of discount on a guy that really matters and really counts and is not in question, that would be really good. I feel like I might be more prone to, I don't know if the price would be the same, but if the price was the same and I could get Emmanuel Clase, I'd rather go in that direction than a Mason Miller. But you would hope that maybe with the ERA, with them being the A's, that maybe Mason Miller cheaper than that top 3 or 4 closer market. And then I think I might be in because it's still elite. It's elite strikeout numbers for sure. He's not in question, but the walks are up this year. So I'm a little indifferent on this one just because of the cost mainly.
Yeah, I just want a guy that I know is going to be the closer all year. And I know it's going to cost me a little bit, so it's not super cheap. But I think you're buying a little bit of a dip on Mason Miller. And if there's a team that happens to have, let's say, you got Miller, you got Fairbanks, you got another closer on your roster, but you're hurting offensively and somebody's got a surplus of offense, that person is you and you need closer help, go make a run at Mason Miller or see if you could prime away. Before we get to the guys we're looking to sell, let's talk about the trade analyzer. If you want to make smarter fantasy baseball trades, well, use the trade analyzer because it will instantly evaluate if a trade benefits you or your opponent more and see how potential trades affect each team's stats and starting lineups. Make informed trade decisions today with the trade analyzer only on Fantasy Baseball, My Playbook app, or at fantasypros.com/MLB My Playbook. Let's start with Jose Altuve. I want to get rid of him. Why? Well, because in the last 15 games, he got 5 homers and 10 RBI. He's had a little bit of a power surge, but that does not take away a lot of the cold, hard facts. And I mean cold, because if you look at the Baseball Savant page, it's blue, it's ice cold. His expected WOBA is 281. His expected batting average is 235. His expected slugging, Welsh, is 361. So that's after all the 5 home runs that he's hit in the last couple weeks. I'm not buying it. The exit velocity off his bat is also 85.1 right now. That is the lowest 2 percentile in the league. Right now, Altuve looks like a guy at 35 years old who's just done. And I think this is your window where he had a good power surge and you want to move off him. What do you think?
Yeah, I think I'm with you. It's kind of tough when I always struggle with like bigger name players when they're kind of struggling or in it. Luckily, he's not like in the throes of he's hitting like, he's a 200 hitter or whatever. He just hit 262 in May. He hit 252 in April. So I think that's what you're selling. You're selling an Altuve multi-position eligibility that is lower average than maybe his career numbers, but still relatively solid. But I think for a lot of these reasons that you laid out is why I want to get out from it. He's always kind of registered low average exit velocities, but it's the second lowest max exit velocity of his career. I actually think this is the also career lowest average exit velocity. So there's a sign in your face that is showing you that power depreciation is here. It is like not a fluky thing. He's barreling the ball less. It's a launch angle sweet spot. He's trying to pull the ball more, but he's not able to get to that good launch angle spot where he's hitting it perfectly, and that's affecting power. Hard hit numbers are down. And he's also overperforming against every pitch type right now. So it doesn't feel good. Expected average is around 230. Power numbers look kind of He's not aggressively stealing. Like I'm fine. I'm not attached to Jose Altuve. So if I could trade him for median value to like kind of what he is now, I think I would be comfortable moving off because I'm not sure how much more is in the tank, if it's going to go up or if it's going to go back down.
Well, I want to move off Joe Adell because in his last 50 at-bats, he's been red hot. 6 homers, 12 RBI over that span, hitting 333 with a 407 OBP and a 750 slugging. Just for perspective, his season-long 2025 numbers are still bad. He still only has 12 home runs, despite the fact he's got 6 in his last 15 games. He doesn't steal bases. He only got 2 on the season. He's hitting 226 on the year. This is a moment where if you picked him up off the waiver wire, you just happen to have him, that all of a sudden he has been absolutely scorching over the last 2 weeks. You move on because we've seen this with Joe Adell before. We'll have like a moment or two and people would run historically, pick him up off the waiver wire only for him to do nothing, get sent back down. We know the history of Joe Adell, and I feel like we're just in that spot where I don't want to get fooled again. So if for some reason I got him on my roster, I want to move on. Maybe you're seeing things differently when it comes to Adell. What do you think?
A little bit. Like, if he's on the wire, I want to pick him up right now because he is hot. And I think there's actually some interesting stuff. Highest career barrel percentage, highest career hard hit, second lowest career strikeout rate, which is really nice. Highest career average exit velocity. His expected batting average is 50 points higher than he's currently hitting. It's very, very Taylor Ward-esque, by the way. Zone contact percentage, best of his career, bar none. 82.1%, way over what he's ever done before. I think there's some encouraging stuff, but am I going to fool myself into Joe Adell is living up to the hype? No. I think he's a very worthwhile pickup in any waiver-based league. But if someone is out there trying to acquire him and is buying in some of the expected stuff, sure, I'm willing to sell out. But I think this is the most difficult one you put on here because, like, from an ownership percentage, he's like, in the teens of ownership percentage. So
well,
is this really
on
a
CBS,
trade?
he's 33% rostered. So I think this is more of a deeper league kind of conversation we're having, which is if you're in a 15-team league with, 5 active outfielders, Joe Adell's rostered. Like there's absolutely, I have very little, doubt. So if you're in big boy, big girl leagues, Joe Adell's probably rostered right now, especially after the week before he had. If he has another good finish to this week, I think you got to think about, okay, I've got a really hot asset. Let me try to flip it right now before winter comes for Joe Adell, because inevitably it always does. Luis Castillo, another guy that people feel very comfortable with over the years, but I got to say there's a lot of red flags here with Luis Castillo. I understand his ERA is at 3.31, but his expected ERA is at 4.65 Welsh. That is much higher. The expected FIP is at 4.24. His strikeouts have gone down again for a second year in a row from 2023 to 10 K per nine. To 8.98 last year to 7.36. The walk rate has gone up from 2.41 to 2.82 walks per nine year over year. And I'm looking right now at maybe Luis Castillo is just kind of holding things together with smoke and mirrors.
This one makes me laugh because I'm going to do this one is tough because I've been saying this for like months. I've like 6 weeks. I've been trying to sell off him. But here's the problem. He's still been good. He's a 3.31 ERA. He has a better ERA than he's had over the last 3 years. But everything you said is why I've wanted to get off of him. So this is one of those where I'm like, I completely agree with you. I want to sell off, but he keeps performing. But yeah, the expected ERA is like over 4.5. He's lost velo on his fastball, a mile per hour on his slider. His whip is up. Like, it's a mirage to me. But this could be one of those cases where it's just like we keep looking at a lot of this underlying stuff and it never materializes. That can happen. But there's a lot of regressive-y type of things that don't feel super great about him. And, his pitch types are overperforming against batting averages that, if guys start kind of hitting it around, you lose velo into the season. I'm worried that Luis Castillo is going to get hit up. So I agree with you 100%. I am selling on Luis Castillo still.
All right, so those are the names we're talking about buying and selling this week. Hit us up. Let us know who you want to trade for. Drop your comments below. Like the stream. Subscribe to Fantasy Pros MLB. And you just might win yourself a Cecil Fielder autographed jersey. That's right. Old school throwback number 45 could be yours from pristineauction.com. It is autographed by Cecil, Big Daddy himself. And it can be yours just for being here, hanging out, talking baseball with us on the channel. That'll do it for us. But the story of the game goes on. For the Welsh, I'm Joey P. We'll see you next time, kids.